coming up on Global Business. Premier Li Qiang calls on China and Germany to set an example for strengthening mutually beneficial China-Europe cooperation. China has extended its purchase tax exemption for new energy vehicles and briefed the media on key achievements and issues in the NEV market. And British inflation held at 8.7% in May, putting more pressure on the Bank of England to tame stubborn price growth. From CGTN headquarters in Beijing, this is Global Business. I'm Lily Lu. China and Germany should work together to promote cooperation and contribute to world peace and development. Premier Li Qiang said this in Berlin on Tuesday. Li was speaking as co-chair of the 7th China-Germany Intergovernmental Consultation with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. The Chinese premier spoke highly of the effective consultation between the two sides and its outcome. He also proposed a partnership in green development projects. Scholz reassured China that Berlin has no intention of decoupling and that Germany will continue to communicate and work closely with China to address global challenges together. The two countries have agreed to elevate bilateral cooperation to higher standards. A number of cooperation agreements were signed after the event. Premier Li Qiang has urged China and Germany to deepen economic and technical cooperation and create a partnership that can exemplify mutually beneficial ties between China and other European countries and the world. The Chinese premier made those remarks on Tuesday at the 11th China-Germany Economic and Technical Cooperation Forum in Berlin. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and over 200 representatives from the economic and business communities attend that event. Premier Li also called for strengthening cooperation in the spirit of mutual respect to achieve win-win results for all. Scholz reassured China that Germany would not decouple and vowed to solve any bilateral challenges through communication. Prior to the forum, the two leaders attended a roundtable with over 30 Chinese and German entrepreneurs. Li stressed China and Germany enjoy broad space and great potential for cooperation. Chinese and German businesses in Beijing say that cooperation continues to be full of potential. Sun Ye has more.
This is the Beijing China-Germany Industrial Park, not yet 2 years old. It already hosts some 90 German companies with an annual output of over 35 billion yuan. The industrial park says it plans to play what it calls a pioneering role in Beijing's opening up and international cooperation, aiming to be home to some 200 German companies by the year 2025.
Hao Lijie on the management committee of the industrial park says it's on course to meeting the 2025 goal, which includes an annual output of 80 billion yuan. He says it's in part because Chinese-German cooperation continues to focus heavily on what he deems are the future needs, from smart manufacturing, digital economy to new energy vehicles.
北京中德产业园所在的顺义区
Smart new energy vehicles are a key area for technological innovation. Our industrial park is located in Shunyi District, home to many of Beijing's high-tech and advanced industries. The over 100,000 enterprises here provide a solid foundation for industrial cooperation in the park. At the same time, companies such as Mercedes-Benz and BMW have attracted companies relevant to this industry here. Here, China and Germany's industries will work together and further upgrade smart green manufacturing.
Companies like heating technology manufacturer Viessmann have a long history in China, and it also makes sense to be even more invested in the Chinese market and its smart green vision.
So we will continue to invest into this market. And in investments, we differentiate into several areas. One is bringing our newest technology from Germany to China. But the other one that is equally important is setting up more R&D and development capability here in China, because the China team, our team, knows best what Chinese users really want and need. And maybe there's a third element to this as well, and that is service. And I think it's not just for China and for Germany. I think many countries all over the world are striving to decrease their carbon footprint. And where you can have the biggest impact is, of course, in the world's biggest economies. And that is right now one of the top economies is China. So if you want to make an impact to contribute to environmental protection and carbon decreasing, you must come to China.
The industrial park has also been working to better support in policies and facilities so that growth will keep for the long haul. 孙悦，410 Beijing.
Chinese Premier Li Qiang will head off to France on Thursday after his Germany visit. And now we cross over to our correspondent Kenneth Brown, who's standing by in Paris. Hi there, Ken. So the Premier chose to visit Germany and France as the two stops for his first overseas trip since took office. What does that say about their economic ties with China?
Yes, as you mentioned, the Chinese Premier Li Qiang arrived in Berlin on Monday to begin his 6-day visit here in Germany and France, the two biggest economies of the European Union. And I think it is very significant that on his first official visit, he came to Berlin and to Paris. Now, China is Germany's biggest trading partner and very close to France's too. When you look at bilateral trade between the two countries in both relationships, you're talking about nearly $400 billion. Over the last 25 years, trade exports from France have grown year on year by 10%. They've reached to almost $3 billion. The products and services coming the other way from China dwarf that, almost $50 billion. So this is a hugely important bilateral trade. We've heard talk about how German industry leaders, French industry leaders also echoed what the G7 said recently, that a decoupling with China is just unthinkable, really. I mean, it would be disastrous for both economies. But while politicians and business leaders are rejecting the idea of decoupling, there is a little bit of concern about overdependence on China here in the EU. Just recently, Germany published their national security strategy, calling China a partner, a competitor, and also a systemic rival. Now, in response to that, Li in Germany called for openness and cooperation between Chinese, German, and French industries. He said that risk prevention and cooperation are not opposites. So Li's first official foreign visit also serves, here in Berlin and Paris, it serves as a signal to the European Union of just how keen China is to steady those relations, to reduce any tensions, and also to cultivate personal relationships.
Right, and also in Paris, we know that the Premier will be attending the new Global Financial Pact Summit. This initiative aims to create solidarity in the international financial system, help vulnerable nations to deal with debt, climate change issues, and also protect biodiversity. So what can we expect out of that summit?
Yes, Thursday and Friday here in Paris, we'll see the summit for a new global financial pact. Now, this summit hopes to explore possibilities for an update to the world's financial system to meet the challenges of the 21st century. It's going to focus on poverty reduction, on the climate crisis, on helping vulnerable nations who have been worst hit by that crisis, also protecting biodiversity. According to Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, he said the global financial system, which manages over $300 trillion in assets, is not fit for purpose. Strong words from him. Now, 1/3 of developing countries, 2/3 of low-income countries are at risk because of excess debt at the moment. So the idea is to try and find more financial solidarity. That means essentially rich countries helping poor countries. In 2022, natural disasters cost poor countries over $300 million, many of them in the global south, many of these countries which have contributed the least to the carbon, to factors which have exacerbated the climate crisis. This summit, it's co-organized by France and India. It will be attended by many prominent names and organizations here. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz will be here. President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen will be here. We'll have the United Nations, UNESCO, and of course China's new Premier, Li Qiang, will be in attendance.
Oh, great stuff. Thank you very much. That's our correspondent Kenneth Brown in Paris. France is one of China's biggest trading partners in the EU. Despite of the pandemic, bilateral trade broke the 100 billion euro benchmark for the first time last year. That is up nearly 15% from 2021. Within the EU, France ranked second in terms of exports to China and came in fourth in receiving exports from China. China provides the most investment to France among all Asian countries, mainly in transportation infrastructure, electronic equipment and automaking. And France ranks third among all EU countries in investment to China. France has set up more than 6,000 companies in China at the end of 2021, mainly in aerospace, automobiles, electronics and chemical manufacturing. The two countries are expected to expand cooperation in low carbon drives like renewable energy, new energy vehicle and developing biodiversity. Chinese industries are doubling down on cutting-edge technologies to increase production while trying to reduce their carbon footprint. They're turning to French multinational company Schneider Electric to spearhead these changes. Schneider Electric specializes in digital automation and energy management. Natalie Malgas has more.
Engineers at the forefront of the digital transformation era say the sustainability of big business hinges on efficient operating systems.
Most of the technology are available today, and it's a question of deploying it. We want to make the world more sustainable, and that comes with decarbonization. Decarbonization, a good way is to use more renewable, to use more electricity.
In China, new and existing companies are moving to integrated systems to build a competitive edge and balance the bottom line.
They are looking at short-term solutions to reduce their energy consumption, but also they want to prepare the future and reduce their carbon impact.
Schneider assists by overhauling a client's software and digital drives to streamline their operations. This so-called universal software works on any factory floor, even with older generation equipment. The company says requests from consumers are forcing businesses to consider digitization.
One of the benefits of digital transformation is generating faster, simpler and smarter processes. For big industries, this means getting rid of time-consuming manual data entry and eliminating inefficiencies in the assembly line and the potential for human error.
China has become Schneider's second largest market globally. The company hopes a visit by Chinese Premier Li Qiang to its premises near Paris will deepen collaboration between the French multinational and local Chinese vendors in a bid to digitize big industries faster, making them more efficient and sustainable. Natalie Malgas, CGTN, Paris.
Still to come here on Global Business. China has expanded its purchase tax exemption for NEVs and briefed the media on key achievements and issues in the new energy vehicle market.
From the 1,035-kilometer railway linking China to Laos, facilitating connectivity and boosting economic growth in the landlocked Southeast Asian country, to the joint China-Saudi Arabia photovoltaic project to harness renewable energy in the oil-dependent kingdom. The Belt and Road Initiative has come a long way since it was first proposed in 2013, complementing the development strategies of partner countries and building on their existing strength. The Belt and Road Initiative, linking the world in the pursuit of common prosperity for humanity.
China's new energy vehicle industry is seeing a surge in growth that shows no signs of slowing down this year. But it still faces challenges that need to be addressed, including the need to improve or expand charging infrastructure in the world's biggest green car market. Da Kai has more.
China's new energy vehicle industry has maintained strong growth in the first half of this year. Production and sales reached 3 million and 2.9 million units, respectively, between January and May this year, increasing by 45% and 46% year-on-year.
Through persistent efforts, China has established a well-structured and synergistic new energy vehicle industry system. The production and sales volume have been increasing year by year, creating a favorable development situation of mutual integration and win-win cooperation with related industries.
In 2014, the Chinese government exempted electric vehicles and other green cars from the vehicle purchase tax. By the end of 2022, the cumulative exemption exceeded 200 billion yuan.
In addition to exempting new energy vehicles from vehicle purchase tax, the government also exempt them from vehicle and vessel tax and pure electric vehicles from consumption tax. The relevant fiscal and taxation policies provide strong support for the high-quality development of the new energy vehicle industry.
The tax break for electric and other green vehicles has since been extended until the end of 2027. The government is also upgrading construction of charging infrastructure, the world's largest when it comes to new energy vehicles. However, officials point out that there are issues that still need to be addressed.
Looking to the future, the rapid growth of new energy vehicles, especially electric vehicles, poses higher and more urgent requirements for the layout, structure, service, and operation of charging infrastructure. There is a need to further build a high-quality charging infrastructure system.
Government officials say that by 2030, China will have established wide coverage and functionality across its charging network, which will support the industry and effectively meet public demand.
As China's new energy vehicle industry continues to grow, it faces increased international competition. There are challenges that need to be addressed urgently, such as the shortage of core technology supply and uneven regional development. How to keep up that good momentum is a question that the industry needs to give more thought to. Dai Kai-yi, CGTN, Beijing.
Now, time to get more discussions on China's NEV market. We're now joined by Mr. Qu Qiang, who is a research fellow at the Beijing Foreign Studies University. Great to have you on the show with us, Mr. Qu. So, China has a timetable to replace all fossil fuel vehicles, and this time today, China extended its purchase tax exemption for NEVs again. That is until the end of 2025. How do you think those tax exemptions fit into the broader picture?
Well, I think this can actually provide lots of the support to the sales market of the NEV. And as China has already gained the momentum in the NEV development, you have been seeing that in the past 1 or 2 years, this market has been growing averagely like 100% a year. So averagely right now in China, for every 3 or 4 new vehicles sold in the market, one of them is NEV. So I think the tax policy, the favorable tax policy, really played a very important role. But also, meanwhile, you have to take a look at the NEV's quality and its fashioners and everything. It really made people love it. So I'm thinking in the future, when these two forces combine together, government support and also the enterprises, they're fighting forward in this market. I think the NEV will gain more of a momentum and large market share in Chinese market.
And also during today's press briefing, officials identified several key hurdles that need to be addressed in the development of the NEV industry. Specifically, these include like full marketization, the advancement of core technologies, and the ability to meet growing supply demands. What steps can be taken to address these challenges effectively?
Oh, yes. Everybody feels very optimistic about the Chinese NEV market. For sure, we do have the confidence about that, but still we need to see there are hurdles. For example, in the key technologies, one choke point is still the chips, high-end chips. Yes, China can make like 23 nanometers the semiconductors for sure, but right now the NEV are marching forward. They need really more cutting-edge technology in the chips. For example, like what you used in the mobile phone, like in Apple, like in Huawei. So China still rely on exporting this high-end semiconductors and also supply chain. The supply chain can be really fragmented. For example, right now we're facing, the imports of the Li-ion ores, but Li-ion ore has been fragmented in many other countries. So when we're facing the geopolitical conflicts, we're facing, transportation choke points, and this market can be, disrupted. And also, we've been seeing the competition are here. in China and also in the rest of the world, we'll be facing a warring kingdom period of time in this whole market. You know, we have big and small brands all over, and sometimes the market can be a little bit chaotic. And also, we also have to pay attention to the policy-wise, and also we need to see. Right now, a lot of the car makers are relying on the government subsidy. This can be good in the beginning, but in the future, you really want the whole market can be more market-based, and they can fight forward with their own strengths. So this all are problems we need to solve in the future.
And also, as the world continues its transition towards electrification and sustainability in mobility, what role do you think China's market play in this movement?
Well, China has already been the #1 car market in the whole world. It used to be America, the nation on the wheels, but right now the size of Chinese market is basically twice of America, and also the size of the European Union plus Japan and Korea together. So when China is switching to the green transportation, it's going to be great help, because 20% of the pollutions in this market has been generated by transportation, traditional transportation. And also China, by doing the NEV businesses and the markets, we've been trying to develop the high-end technologies, developing the supply chain and the whole industry. And that can be providing the efficiency for the whole world and providing more of the contribution to the emission cutting in the whole world.
Well, great insights. Thank you very much. That's Mr. Chu Qiang, Research Fellow at the Beijing Foreign Studies University for us. And still to come here on Global Business. British inflation held steady at 8.7% in May. That is putting more pressure on the Bank of England to taming stubborn price growth.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global Business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business, only on CGTN.
Shifting gears now to the UK, the British government and the Bank of England have to make tough decisions after the country's inflation data in May came in at 8.7%, up from 6.8% in April. This is the fourth month in a row that price increases have exceeded market expectations. The headline figure means that British inflation is once again the fastest among major advanced economies. Traders are betting on a ½ percentage points rise from the current 4.5% ahead of the central bank's meeting on Thursday, which will be the 13th rate hike since December 2021. Despite a higher rate expectations, sterling fell against dollar on growing recession fears. British Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt said that the government is determined to get on top of the inflation problem. Take a listen.
Well, today's figures strengthen the case for the government to stick to its guns. No matter what the pressure from left, right or centre, we won't be pushed off course. Because if we're going to help families, if we're going to relieve the pressure on people with mortgages, on businesses, we need to squeeze every last drop of high inflation out of the economy. And if you look at what's happening in other countries, you can see that rises in interest rates do bring down inflation over time. That will happen here, but we need to be patient, we need to stick to the course, and then we'll get to the other side.
And staying with Europe, as a result of the combination of high inflation and currency weakness, there has been an increase in the number of day trips to Hungary's border countries. Most of these trips are taken for the purpose of spending less on groceries. Our reporter Pablo Gutierrez has more on this trend.
An international journey often starts on this bridge to Slovakia. The reason? Food inflation in Hungary is currently running at a record 45%, which means for every $100 spent on food, shoppers will pay around 45 more than they did a year ago. So for many, the trip across the border is worth every cent.
You can see the price difference in groceries from one country to another. I think it's not only inflation, but a weak Hungarian forint that's hurting us.
Hungary's forint has devaluated nearly 25% against the dollar since the Ukraine conflict began, and currently is the worst performing currency in Central and Eastern Europe.
The Hungarian forint is so fragile and lost so much of its value that for producers it makes sense to export. So Hungarian products are just leaving the market because it makes sense to export.
It is one of the reasons border towns like Komárno in Slovakia have seen an increase in Hungarians doing their weekly shop. While that might be good for businesses, not everyone is thrilled.
Shops are getting crowded, so for us it's not really good because you go in and it's packed.
Day trips outside Hungary have increased by 35%, with most travelers going to Slovakia and Austria, and most respondents saying they went to buy food, according to the Hungarian Central Statistical Office. Hungarians have spent 162 million in Austria and 55 million in Slovakia this year. Take, for instance, the price of paprikas, one of Hungary's primary exports. Here in Budapest, you will pay about $2 per kilo, while in Slovakia, it will cost you about $1.60. The Hungarian government imposed price caps on 6 food staples, including flour, sugar, eggs, and chicken in February last year in a bid to tackle inflation.
The artificial price regulations that makes retail very anxious. What comes next?
As long as market uncertainty, inflation, and weak currency remain issues for Hungarians, more and more shoppers will continue to flock to checkouts in Slovakia or Austria. Pablo Gutierrez, CGTN, Bratislava, Slovakia.
Tomorrow will be the first day of China's 3-day Dragon Boat Festival holiday, and 6 months since the easing of COVID-19 restrictions, tourism figures are rebounding to pre-pandemic levels. Data from the China Tourism Academy shows that the number of domestic trips made during the holiday is expected to hit 100 million. That's the same level as in 2019. It added that revenue from domestic tourism over the 3-day period is projected to reach 37 billion yuan or $5.5 billion. Beijing, Hangzhou, Guangzhou, Chengdu, and Qingdao are the most popular destinations. And with that, I'm closing out this edition of Global Business here on CGTN. Thanks for being with us. I'm Lily Lu in Beijing. Till next time, bye for now.